Okay, here we are at the very end of our heel flap. I guess we could call this step 5, but it's really just more of the heel flap. But I just finished mine a little differently than maybe everyone does. So basically what we have is we've knitted up all the wing stitches except, knitted up all the wing stitches except for one on each side. Sometimes I think I have my camera a little too low, pointed too low, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to put my heel stitches back on 2 needles because we're to the point now that it's awkward with it's basically 2 needle stitching. Okay, so here we are, the last row. This is my wing needle. I'm going to slip this first stitch purlwise. I'm going to do the normal reinforced slip stitch across and just somewhere in the middle stop, and we'll put a different needle on. Okay. Alright, finishing off across in pattern, which is slip 1, knit 1. Slip 1, knit 1. When we get to the very end, we're going to slip this last heel stitch knitwise. And here's our last. I think I twisted my needle there, sorry. The last wing stitch. We're going to slip it knitwise and knit both of those together. Okay? Now, the only difference is, instead of purling back across to catch this last wing stitch, we're going to go ahead and knit across the instep stitches. Be sure and pull this first stitch pretty tight, because one place that will develop holes in your knitting is at the very top of that gusset. Where your gusset and your heel flap meet. Straight across the instep stitches. Okay. And now, isn't that pretty? Or nice? Knit 1, slip 1, heel. Alright, so there's that wing stitch. So the very first thing we're going to do is knit these 2 stitches together. Okay? Pull this, because this stitch is the one that's going to be kind of loose. This little place right here. And we'll fix that. Knit those 2 together. And now all we're going to do is just knit around. Just knit plain. That's our previous, because you always want to do the knit if you're doing the reinforced heel. To do the knit 1, slip 1, 1 round if you're rounding, or 1 row if you're back and forth rowing, and then knit 1 row across with all the stitches, or purl if you're back and forth. Okay. So basically, we're done with the sock, because all that's left is just the cuff. The cuff is easy. You can do anything on this cuff that you want. If you wanted it to be a plain stockinette cuff, or a fancy pattern cuff, or just as I did on my little sock, the knit 1, purl 1. Now, what I do like to knit around twice. We'll say that was 1 row. I would knit around plain 1 more in stockinette. And you can kind of tell that this stitch right here is going to be kind of holy. And so what I always do is just in another round or 2, I'll just pull that extra yarn in that row all the way across. And here's the matching stitch, I'll just pull it and all the way across this row to about the middle, and then I'll start letting that row take up that extra yarn, so that it won't be quite so noticeable of a little gap there. It doesn't look too bad, and that stitch that's the worrisome stitch. And as you can see, I fixed it there as well. Okay, so on our little sock, knit one more round in stockinette, and then start your pattern. This one that I'm going to do is the knit one, purl one, all the way up. Okay, you don't have to do that. Here I did a plain stockinette and then did a knit two, purl two at the very top, or I did a plain stockinette cuff and then just did like a garter stitch around the top. Okay, so just for completeness, I'll see you back in for the next little video just to bind off, which shouldn't take us but just a few seconds. Alright, there it is, your sock.